Coach, how do you evaluate the Big 12 this year? I mean, the majority of the road teams have won the game so far. What does that say about the balance of the league?
You know, I don't know. I would say that 3 teams have certainly gotten off the better starts than everybody else. West Virginia's +2, and OU is +1, and Tech is +1, and had you know, a great road win, and so you know, we're even. You know, we won 1 and lost 1 at home, so we certainly haven't put ourselves in a very favorable position. But it's week 1. 11% of our conference play, if I'm not mistaken, is done. We still got 89% left, and so we still have opportunities, as does everybody else, to improve if they're not happy with the way they started. But it's a great league. It's a monster league, and certainly it's one which, you know, I told our guys after the game. I said, hey guys, I mean, we didn't play well. They made us look bad, real bad at times, but it's not going to be the last time we leave out of here sad this year. I mean, it's going to be a gauntlet. Nobody's going to run the table, and certainly there'll be a lot of ups and downs, and so you just got to move on to the next one as quickly as possible. Have a short memory.
Bill, there's been other teams that started out and you know you called them soft and not as tough as they need to be, and then you got them by the end of the year where they needed to be. Can you just talk about that and developing a team toughness wise? Yeah,
it was very disappointing the other night. You know, we're not the most. You get a false sense sometimes when you make shots and of who you are and that kind of stuff. And the bottom line is we're a fairly athletic team, but we don't have some quick twitch guys like Tech has. I mean, let's just be real. You know, Zaire Smith and Justin Gray are 2 guys we don't have physically. And those guys dominated us from a quickness and explosiveness standpoint, because I didn't feel like we were energized to go against that. You know, if you're turned up and you play with great energy and enthusiasm, you can neutralize that and sometimes even surpass it. And I mean, LeGerald's a terrific athlete, but he's the only athlete we have on the perimeter that physically, you know, can play above the rim and do some things like that. And he didn't the other night. And nobody did. And so I do think you can get tougher. I do think you can get harder. I do think you can become more competitive and learn how to compete as you go. But the reality of it is we're not changing that. Right now, playing 4 guards, that our second best rebounder is 6'5", 180 pounds. We are not changing that. We're not changing that our next best rebounder weighs 100 or 200 pounds. We're not changing the fact that you know, we're playing 2 average size guards and we're playing 4 really average size guards to go along with Doak. We're not going to change that. So we have to be scrappier and some things like that, which, you know, for the most part we've been able to do. But you know, I think we assume some things because of the past. And you look at the past. I mean, Landon Lucas was tough, and we're not replacing him with the same toughness. Josh Jackson was a monster. He was an assassin. We're not replacing him with the same type of mentality, and certainly you can't match Frank's mentality in that area. And so, we you know, which is okay. I mean, we were so spoiled with that in the past, but we have to be tougher than what we are, and we're asking guys to be something. LeGerald's and Svi aren't softer than they were last year. I mean, they're playing the same way they did last year, maybe a little tougher. They just don't have the guys next to them to go do it. So that's something that we got to do. Hopefully Marcus can add to that some, and then, you know, I hate talking about what we don't have, because we have enough to play better than what we did this past week. But you know, it'd be nice if we had some physical presence, some enforcer type guys, even though they're not that can give you some substantial minutes and you know, not get kicked on the glass like we have the last 2 games.
The other night you were asked about facing a rough patch and you kind of referred back to your time at ORU, but how much can you pull from your early years?
No. We're talking apples and oranges, guys, okay? Losing 18 in a row, losing 1 in a row, okay? So it's not exactly the same thing. When I think the question was asked, whatever, can you deal with this, or can your team, can you handle it? And I'm like, well, I coached at ORU. This should not be as difficult as that. But
right.
when you, I don't think that question is really a fair one to ask, because when you think about looking back, it makes it sound like the dire straits. We're 11-3. We're 1-1. That's not the case at all. So we haven't. I will say this though, to your point, we haven't had many situations where we did not get off to good starts in our league. Now we won the league when we started out 1-2 before, but majority of the time we have got off to good starts, and I think we need to quit talking about winning the league, even though that's kind of expected around here, and it's obviously a fair question with having a chance to do something nobody's ever done. We need to just talk about getting better each week, and then if you do that, the wins and losses take care of themselves. So that's what our focus is.
Yeah, Bill, put on maybe just the 1 or 2 simple things that you'd like to see get better right away, game by game.
1 or 2?
I'm just keeping it simple.
Okay, keeping it simple for me. Okay, I would say we have to guard the ball better. I mean, we let guys drive it with their dominant hand and get where they want to go. We have to be able to guard the ball better. When you can't guard the ball, it forces rotation, which forces rotation rebounding and all this stuff. So keep your man in front of you. That would be something that would be not an easy fix, but something we know we got to improve on. Something else is everybody's got a job to do when the ball's shot, and that's stressed every day. But we're not doing it. We don't. The offensive rebounders have to make an effort to get there, and certainly you have to make an effort to check your man every time the ball's shot, and we have not done that very well. So that would be something that we can certainly improve on. And maybe if we're maybe I don't know this, and I'm not saying that we're going to do that, but maybe Sam can bring some energy to that point, being an offensive and a defensive rebounder for us. I never thought you had to look to a guard to play a lot, because he was potentially your second best rebounder or something like that. But that could be the case if Sam's able to help us in that area. But I'd say just keep our confidence level high. The one thing that is, I talked to one of my old coaches today. We haven't been through a situation where people are saying, what's wrong with Kansas? We haven't been through that in 12 years, where people would say, oh my God, they're struggling. We haven't been through that. I mean, we may have been through a stretch where we lost a couple in a week, or one time we lost 3 in a row. But when you lose 3 in a row and you start out 7-0, you're still 7-3. I mean, so we haven't been through a lot of that stuff. So we're going through what 97% or 98% of all teams in America go through. Ups and downs, and it really is this, and this will be coach speak to you guys. We're not very good right now. Okay, we're not near as good as what we can be. Now, can we play really well? Absolutely, but we're inconsistent because we don't have an identity. An identity is when things are going bad, you still have that deal, you can run the ball. Or identity is no matter what, you can still rush the passer. Or no matter what, you can still do certain things. That's an identity that you can hang your hat on no matter what. Our identity is we control the line of scrimmage. Our identity is we outspeed and we outfast everybody. We're trying to develop an identity. And so you can look really good, and then you can not look really good. If our identity is going to be shooting the basketball, then it's going to be like this. And so those are the things we got to improve on. Now, when I say that we're not very good right now, well, I didn't say that after the Texas game. But you could watch the game and say, well, what happens if these shots don't go in? It's not a happy ending. That's what we have to do. So the whole thing is and when I say not very good right now, I'm talking about to be elite. Okay, so there's a lot of things we got to improve on in that area. But the exciting thing is if you don't go through some crap, and this isn't a lot of crap, but it's enough crap you don't want to go through a lot of it. But if you don't go through some stuff, how are you ever going to develop, if you're not a real tough team yet competitively, that toughness unless you go through it? So I don't look at this as anything that is bad. I look at it like, yeah, we wish we didn't lose, but the bottom line is to get to where we want to go, some things have to be addressed and guys have to take ownership of, and we got to do a better job coaching them to get them to the point where we want to be at the end. So if we go through the season just by making shots and winning games just by that, I promise you it'll be a flame out. You got to have something you can really hang your hat on besides that. And we're not awful defensively. We're not. We're just not very good. We're just not good. And we're not a terrible rebounding team. We're just not a good rebounding team. There's times where we've been very good in both areas, and there's times we haven't been very good. But the best teams, I guarantee it, defensive field goal percentage is down. They rebound the ball and they take care of the ball. And those are all areas that are correctable, but certainly a mindset has to be improved.
In the half-court offense, do you have to wait for Udoka to do a better job of establishing position, be more polished with his moves, do a better job to cash in at the line before that can become your identity, or do you force it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, we've had Landon didn't score inside,
Mm-hmm.
But Landon can make a timely basket. We'd run something for him, take it. I think a lot of with Doak is exactly what you're saying. But in addition to that, for his understanding of the game, to understand how you get angles, how you score easy, which he doesn't really feel yet. He's gotten better, but he doesn't really feel that yet. So yeah, we got to do a better job with that. But here's what's bad about what you just said. When the ball goes inside, we got 4 people watching him, and so if he misses a shot, we don't make anybody pay. Does that make sense? And so those are the things. So I don't worry about what Doak's doing. What are the other 4 guards doing when Doak has it? That would be something that would be more of a concern to me. We would like for him to become more polished and us getting the ball on time, on target all the time. We sure we want that. But the reality of it is the better teams you play, they don't let you get those easy baskets all the time. And so we got to do a better job of ball and body movement, playing in and out, and being able to get to the glass, because usually when he goes to make a move, usually there's people that come help. And then if you come help, that opens up rebounding lanes, stuff like that. We're just not doing that very well.
Would Garrett be potentially real good at weak side rebounding?
Yeah, he would be, but he's a guard. He's a guard. He wouldn't be like a 6'9" guy, going at it. But yeah, he's a guy that you would think Marcus and LeGerald and Sam would be our 3 best guys to be able to do that. And Marcus tries. You look at his stats. He gets his hands on more balls and steals possessions for us as well as anybody we have in the game. So I think we're getting about what we can out of him in that area. And the reality of it is the pivot position, even though Doak and Mitch, even though that's all it's been so far, they got to rebound better. Doak gets 4 rebounds when there's 38 missed shots. That's not good enough. He's got to rebound the ball better, and he will.
Have you been talking to the league to try to get him back on track? And I guess, how well is your sense for how he's fitting in right now?
Fitting into our team as a person, as
just the system.
I think he fits in fine. He just hasn't played near as well as what we know he's capable of playing. But I don't think regardless of system, I think you still have the same issues. We need the league to be, offense for us. We need to be. He doesn't have to be great, but we need to be an adequate defender and individual defender and a good team defender and that kind of stuff. And I'd say Malik has not played as well as what he's capable of playing, but from an offensive production standpoint, he's had 2 of his best games the last 2 games. So I don't think that's the issue. I think when guys are really concerned about playing to win, and I'm not saying our guys aren't, but I think when you're playing to win, you don't worry about your shot. I think sometimes scores get hung up on, well, I'm not making shots, whatever. there's a lot of ways you can play well without the ball going in.
And have you been impressed with what you've seen from Sam in short bursts?
I thought he did some good things the other night, and you know, he had a couple blunders that I think he cost us 6 points though in the second half when the game was tight. But he also got us a couple of nice drive and an offensive putback and all this stuff. He just needs time. Sam's going to be fine. He just needs time.
Is that the defensive lapses and switches?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or just to, you know, how you guard a ball screen, stuff like that. Yeah.
TCU has all the players back from last year. Were you expecting they got you in the Big 12 tournament? It was close.
Yeah.
In Fort Worth.
Yeah. Oh well, it'll be a hard game. You know, they're a lot better than they were last year, and last year they finished as strong. You know, they obviously won the last 5 games to close out the season last year, and then they're like, I could be wrong. What are they, 13-1 now? Is that right? So they've only had the one hiccup, and that was a game in which they controlled till the very end. So I think they're really good. I think Jamie's a terrific coach. I think they've recruited really well, and then they've got some holdover guys that have really blossomed and become really good players their junior and senior season. So they have a nice blend of some newcomers that are really helping them, or younger kids that are really helping them, but they really have a lot of veteran experience. That's rock solid. They're Jamie and TCU, with the commitment they made to basketball and the arena and everything, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be good for a long, long time.
What do you think of the way Devontae drove the ball in the second half against Tech?
What do I think of the way what?
Devontae drove the ball.
Yeah, he did great. He did great driving the ball. It's kind of a misleading deal though. You're behind. I mean, how many times did Frank shoot a lot of free throws last year when you get behind and you just drive it? And you know, the defensive team is basically kind of told, hey, keep him in front of you, don't foul. The thing that Devontae did really good, and I think you cited the second half, are things that he needs to do the entire game. To me, it's too much pressure on him to be the only one to do it though. Because if you look at it, I mean, who else is doing it? I think Legero touched the paint once or twice the entire game. Marcus will try to when he can, but that's not really Speed's game, and certainly that's not Malik's game, even though Malik had a couple of late situation. But I think that we have to, you know, somebody asked a question. I think it was our English friend asked a question the other day. Were you happy getting to the line 23 times? And the answer is yes, we're happier doing that, but it wasn't real. It wasn't during. It was in a comeback effort where you just drive it and put your head down and drive it, and you're not running good offense. And I'd like to see us be able to do that, you know, in the first half as well as the second half.
You know, when you do everything right and you get Udoka the ball down low, and the defense does everything right, if it's a guy not in foul trouble, and hacks him so hard he can't get a shot up, is that a win for the offense or a win for the defense?
I still think it's a win for the offense. I do. I do. I think it's a win for the offense. It puts you in the bonus sooner. You know, you bring up a great point. You know, you're struggling, even though it's early, it's 5-0. You're struggling. You get the ball right where you want it. You come away empty. And is it deflating? Yeah. There's nothing more deflating when you're making a comeback late and you miss the front end. You know, that kind of stuff in the game. But I do think you're much better off being there than not being there. So,
do you expect word on Billy before the game? Where do you know what's going on today?
I don't know anything that has transpired today, but as of last night, I expected that we'd have some semblance of or some idea of exactly where this was as of last night. So, and I meant before the game Saturday. So certainly, you know, I've said for a while now, sooner rather than later, and I can guarantee you it will be sooner rather than later. But I don't know what the outcome will be on it, obviously.
Is it the same kind of timetable for Silvio?
No, I don't think so. I think Silvio is, you know, I said this last night on my show, and just so you guys know, so you won't know to ask all the time, Gary. Silvio's deal is different. Silvio's deal is an amateurism deal that every athlete that plays college athletics goes through. You don't start processing their amateurism until they're enrolled at your school. He didn't technically get here until the 26th. NCAA offices were closed until January 2nd. So since January 2nd, since in the last 48 hours, there's been a lot of different things going on because they have to give us the questions they need answered. And the thing about it is people say, well, how hard is that? Well, he's an African kid. He comes from Angola. Club teams, documents. Did he ever play in this tournament? Well, pros played in that tournament. Were there pros on your team? You know, all these different things. You have to have written things to prove that he's an amateur. He wasn't a professional playing and that stuff. And so those are the things. And then the communication with Angola, I won't say has been bad. I won't say that at all. But a 9 or 10 hour difference and getting everybody on over there to see what you want to do as their priority sometimes isn't the easiest thing to get done. It's not that easy doing that if you call somebody from the same town here in the States sometimes. So that we're kind of at the mercy of some other people getting the information to us so that we can be sure and give complete information to the NCAA on that. But if he wasn't an African kid, yeah, it'd be done. But it's a little bit more hoop jumping.
For a high school kid to join the team now, it's so much to process. Does it become worse before he becomes better?
Maybe, because he'll be a thinker instead of a reactor. Yeah, I think that's a good point. But, you know, let's call it like it is. I mean, can he help us in short spurts in the next week, maybe? Yeah, I think he might can in the next week. But in the next 3 weeks, in the next 4 weeks, when we get to February, I would think that will be as close to a full team as we will have this year, one way or another. When we get to February 1, our team will be as probably as close as what it's going to be, as you know, and because you know, if Billy is or if he isn't, if when Silvio is or whatnot, at least we'll be a team that can play together. Right now, you know, there'd be no way Silvio could fit in and be comfortable and help us right now.
Would Europe still be an option for Billy this year, or is it his best way to market himself is to wait and hope that things go well, and then if he wants to try the showcase or whatever they call that, the exposure?
Yeah. Well, he'll do that no matter what. I mean,
you can do that as a European?
No, he would. I would think so. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure about that, but we haven't even talked about what is. I mean, our whole focus has been getting him here playing. So if obviously we get a negative report back, you know, we'll have to deal with that and get with he and his mother and determine, you know, what the best thing for him would be after that. But we're very hopeful that's not the case. But we